Live, Laugh, Loot contains foul language, violence, drug and alcohol references, and irreverent humor. So if you're not a fan of all that, then don't watch the show. Okay, bye! Hello there, and welcome to episode 0 of Live, Laugh, Loot. This is our TTRPG podcast where we come together and we play role-playing games, which we know is a super niche thing that nobody's done before. And by that, of course, I mean the exact opposite. We've been playing role-playing games since 2022, and we thought it would be fun to record them and share them with you. So very quickly, what this episode 0 is. This is not the first episode of the first campaign. It's not even the character creation session. Basically, our first campaign is a semi-continuation reboot thing. It follows up from our campaigns that we played before we started recording stuff. As of right now, we've recorded and edited the first few episodes, and we've made a couple of references to previous events that you wouldn't be aware of because, none of that was recorded. So we took some time to go over all the plot stuff that happened before the start of the recorded campaigns and just released this as a fun little bonus episode, as a sort of pseudo episode 0, more like a catch-up than anything else. You do not need to listen to this episode to understand the story or the plot of the first campaign. It's just if you want to understand the little references and in-jokes that we've made, because we made a few. So if you just want to get to the action, you can skip this one entirely. We have also released episode 1 when this goes up, so you can check that out right now. Otherwise, well, hope you enjoy the show. So we've been playing Space Kings, and I looked this up because I forgot when we started, since August 2022. So it's been 2 years, more or less.
So you're saying is if we waited till tomorrow to do this, we could have said it would have been the 2-year anniversary.
It could have been. This is now officially the 2-year anniversary celebration episode of Space Kings * our sessions, not necessarily the game.
The Wolf Jinjo Navi era started almost 2 years ago tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, two years ago for tomorrow from whenever we're recording this, not whenever this goes up. That's different.
Correct. At some point, we will have been doing this for 2 years. The book was published about 2 years ago as well. I had been following it. If you're familiar at all with the Pretend Friends podcast, where they basically workshop this game, this is a real fun system. I wanted to try it out with some people, and so I gathered some people. These are the voices you're hearing right now. I had never GM'd a game of any kind to that point. Out of the 3 of us, my role-playing experience is definitely the least. I had done one D&D campaign, not even a campaign, a session in college, and it broke apart halfway through. Not in a bad way, it's just none of us were kind of into it. But this system seemed really fun, really easy for a beginner like me to get into. So I invited people to say, hey, anyone want to join me? And I got these fine folk here. It's been super fun. Characters have come together. Some have died. Some characters died very peacefully. A lot of them didn't.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe first thing we should probably mention, we have recorded a few sessions and episodes as we are talking right now. We have occasionally referenced stuff that we've done in the past that was never recorded, including the 2 starting characters for these 2, if you want to talk about them, and where this all kind of began.
So I played a fun little character, and by little, I mean a 6-foot-tall shark woman named Mizul. Was a part-time bounty hunter, part-time single mom. I fucking loved her. The shark woman concept was based off a lot of tokusatsu shows I was watching, like Sella from Zyuohger, and the name came from the character Mizul from Kamen Rider O's, who I forgot looked like a high schooler in the show. So that was a bit weird for me to realize in post after that.
Mizul, the character you played, was not meant to be a high schooler mom. We want to be clear about that right now. We want to be clear about that right now.
In no way, shape, or form. But I very much took some slight inspiration from that, because I remember Mizul in the show having a motherly approach to everything. So I was like, oh, I could make my character an actual mom in this instance. Only for me to then have that moment of hindsight and be like, oh, fuck, this is not good.
Gosh.
So, yeah, she was this badass part-time bounty hunter single mom fending off, the evils of the universe to make sure she could feed her kids.
you can kind of maybe imagine King Shark with a gun.
King Shark, but definitely smaller and a little bit more on the slim. I'm gonna emphasize a little bit because she was still big, just not not like passable as a human. Small.
Yeah, compared to a human, big. Maybe among her species, not the biggest, but if you
just below average.
Yeah, we had another character.
Yes.
Wolf played as.
Yes.
The favorite character of the campaign.
Yes.
So I played as a character named Wilbur from Wilbur's Wacky World. Wilbur's Wacky World is essentially, think like a Chuck E. Cheese from this, universe. But the issue is, this Chuck E. Cheese, Wilbur's Wacky World, has been pretty much defunct for who knows how long. Now, Wilbur looks like a man wearing the clothes of Wilbur from Wilbur's Wacky World. And he had the bear gloves of Wilbur from Wilbur's Wacky World. Wilbur believed that he was indeed this animatronic, the face of the corporation. He actually grew up inside of Wilbur's Wacky World by himself, learning to fend for himself, learning to love the company, be for the company, and love all who came to visit. The issue is, no one came to visit, ever. However, he learned how to pretty much talk to anybody because he would watch these training videos, so he was very much 100% for the corporation and for the kids. So, to this day, I even told Jinjo this, so I was like, look, 'cause Jinjo asked, like, is Wilbur, like, animatronic, or is he actually human? I was like, you know what? You decide. And to this day, Wilbur's been, like, hit, he's bled, no one knows what he is. No one knows if he's an animatronic or a human, but whatever the case.
Measle had kind of an idea, because when they first met, I did a perception draw to look at him closely to understand, and I could see organic material underneath the stuff, but even then, I was never given a clear answer if, that was just like, a FNAF situation is like a corpse stuffed inside the machine, or if it was just like a human wearing a suit. All I knew is that there was definitely organic material mixed in with the machine.
Right. So, and Wilbur was very much, he wants to be everyone's friend. Anyone he would talk to, he would try to be friendly. He would try to be nice. He would sing them songs.
And
He
by
would
God, did he?
He would he would unhinge his mouth. Pretty much like,
and then like a stereo.
Had a stereo inside his mouth.
Yes, and start singing. Well, not even singing, just like playing whatever song came to mind, which has led to many great and sad moments. Wilbur was very much like, I like everybody. I want to be your friend. And the course of the game went from I love everybody to I lose everybody.
It was depressing.
I kind of weaponized Wilbur's innate friendliness and desire to want to be a pal to everybody against him. I might argue too many times, because I basically made him, I don't know if you're familiar with TV tropes terminology, I basically made him the Wooby, the character that everyone likes, and they like him because sad things just keep happening to him.
Yeah.
We can talk more about that as it comes up. It did start pretty normal in that I gave the two of you a quest and you immediately said, no, we are going to arrest our quest giver because he's clearly a shady individual. So you kind of immediately flipped my script because classic first time GM mistake. I wrote out the entire first session not realizing that you could just be like, nope, and just walk away from it.
We didn't really walk away from it. We just, said, hey, I get what you're saying, but I don't trust you.
I'm not doing it.
I don't trust you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm supposed to like, big corporation. You're not big corporation. You're being weird.
Yeah. Because of that, basically, we improv'd that you got him arrested, and the police officer that came to arrest him was just George Costanza from Seinfeld.
Yeah, it started off as a joke, just calling him Officer Costanza, and then we just sort of just said, nope, it is George Costanza as a space cop. And then eventually we said his shotgun had an AI in it named Jerry.
Yes.
And he talked to the shotgun.
And the shotgun talked to him.
Yes.
It's not like he was just talking to his gun like, Jerry, you're my best friend. It was not like
it could
that.
talk back, so it could also say, you're my best friend too, George.
Although, I don't seem to recall either of you having a conversation with Jerry.
No,
so
I was going to say, Wilbur never...
We gotta retcon the previous campaign to say Jerry might not have been sentient.
Wilbur never interacted with that gun at all. Wilbur doesn't mess with guns. Actually, no, he never used a gun. He used a chainsaw, but not a gun.
was too busy with her girlfriend.
Yes.
Oh yeah, which Wilbur also tried a wingman for that, and that turned out fun.
Oh, that was a trip.
That actually turned out great. So just to catch you, the listener, up, these two were given a quest by a little Kitonian, basically a cat person named Roscoe Beans, to steal some art. They immediately were like, no, we're citizens arresting you, which they did. That was Officer George Costanza who came in.
Best part was Mizul asked Wilbur if he wanted to do this because she was like, I need money, but I don't trust this. So she was only willing to do it if Wilbur was willing to do it. So the minute Wilbur's like, no, stealing is bad. She's like, all right, we're turning on him now.
Yeah, stealing is bad.
Which is great because it established that you two worked as a team right away. That was my plan all along.
Unlike our current campaign where we were about ready to fight each other.
Oh yeah, if this initial team that you two created if they immediately got along and were willing to team up, your new characters have not. Ozzy and Felicia, not exactly peas in a pod, but you'll get to that when you hear the rest of these episodes.
Yep.
Anyway, you sent Roscoe Beans away, but there's corruption in the police force because isn't there always? You learned later from a demoted or fired, I forget exactly what happened, George
you
Costanza.
said he was fired. That's what you told us.
So George Costanza got fired for doing his job and came to you for help, basically to take Roscoe Beans down. So this joke George Costanza character became basically the third party member.
Yeah.
Because George Costanza followed you for basically the entirety of the adventure up until we started recording sessions.
He was not there with us on the Brain Planet.
No,
That's true.
That's the one place he was not there with us. That was just Wilbur and Mizul.
But to be fair, that was a medical emergency because as part of your journey to find and capture Roscoe Beans, you went to a planet that was just a giant brain inhabited by floating brains in a jar, and you went into the brain caves.
Yeah, Wilbur didn't like that place.
That's true. And also, the brains were kind of jerks.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of them were
mean.
jerks.
They were really jerks. They were just like very literal morons who talked like this. This is the brain cave.
I am a brain. We are getting ahead of us a little bit again.
We skipped a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this is free association. You can follow along, hopefully at home.
Yeah, but yeah. So after we took out Roscoe, we went and we tried to go home. Then we got attacked by two robots named Right Butt and Left Butt, who were sent by the corrupt police. And after we killed them and took their chainsaw arms, we went back to Mizul's place and had to come up with a new plan of attack.
Side note: you didn't take the chainsaw arms then. That was later. We'll talk about that. But yeah, basically you defeated some corrupt police bots. You walked into the sunset, and I ran so far away. Started playing.
You're welcome.
That was a great suggestion, which became our unofficial theme song, or ending song at least.
Yeah, our opening theme became the Friends theme in Synthwave.
Yeah, yes. Obviously, can't use either of those on this podcast, but then after you defeated the police robots, you then got approached by Costanza to hunt down Roscoe Beans, and you took him up on that. You got in Mizul's minivan.
Well, we're also forgetting one other. There was one other character that joined us for a lot of this session, which Wilbur ended up like making him become like his best friend.
Yeah, we're about to meet him.
We are about to meet him, actually.
Oh, I thought we were okay. My bad.
Yeah, no, we're just about to get to that.
I thought my bad.
Yeah, first, the two of you went to Mizul's home, and you met Mizul's 3 kids.
You're welcome.
Who, I believe we have their names listed down.
Benchley,
Benchley,
and
Durst.
Durst. Yeah,
So
Sean named Durst because
yes.
he's like, I want you to have a kid named Durst. So I'm like, all right, cool. Benchley was the name of the person who wrote Jaws, if I'm correct. And Nawe is the name of King Shark.
Yes.
And Benchley was the eldest who understood computers and stuff and had aggravated feelings with his mom being gone all the time.
Yeah.
But still
also
loved
because
her and tried to help her.
Yeah. Also because he had to, babysit his 2 younger siblings, which...
And he talked like that turtle from Sly Cooper.
I gotta talk like this because his
kept calling
name
him
because his
Bentley.
name was because his name is Bentley. Anyway, you get a quest. You head off in Mizul's minivan to across a highway where you are then stopped by border patrol style guy named Nick Dastard, which still might be the best name I created. I just love Nick Dastard so much as a name, but who was all like real tough, like, oh, you guys are not gonna pass me. And Wilbur, who was a very high charm character. Charm is a stat that Wilbur excelled in. Almost did like a Puss in Boots from Shrek style, like look into my cute eyes, if I remember correctly. And Nick was just like, okay, you can go.
Yeah, there was that. It was also very much like come on, buddy. Yeah, we're friends.
Come on, yeah, come on, you're my friend.
You want to be better than this.
And initially Nick was sort of like, I don't know how to deal with these feelings.
He said something really nice, and then he looked back, saw Wilbur's Wacky World posters, like, a tear coming from his eyes, like, all right, you could go.
Yeah. And then you actually entered and abandoned Wilbur's Wacky World, because I kind of pushed like Wilbur's Wacky World angle pretty heavily, where we were gonna like slowly uncover like the rest of because Wilbur's Wacky World obviously had an animatronic band. Wilbur was part of it, and he played the tambourine. And my initial kind of plan was we would uncover all the rest of the band members as we went. You go to an abandoned Wacky World, and you find one of them named Bandit. I believe he was the singer.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like a hostile version, a very Five Nights at Freddy's style, I'm just going to kill you animatronic, unlike Wilbur.
He was also the bad boy, but yeah.
But you fight that, I fight an animatronic, and then this is where we meet our fourth party member, Natalia Blackfang, who started up by holding Mizul at knife point. But then, almost
then
immediately,
I tried to romance her, and then Sean, in the best charisma moment ever, had Wilbur play a synth version of Boyz II Men, I'll Make Love to You. And
It was a good
which
time.
worked the hell out of it.
after one meeting at knife point, they became lovers.
Yes. It was just like, in real time, probably in the span of like 10 seconds. I'm gonna hold you up at knife point, and you're like, oh, you are you? Turn around, immediate song plays, and kiss.
It was glorious.
So the whole thing with Natalia is she was a member of a like Assassin's Guild, kind of like a dark magician style Assassin's Guild that Roscoe Beans also belonged to. But Natalia's trying to stop Roscoe because he's trying to bring about the end of the world and blah, blah, blah. Big scheme. This is when you headed to the Brain Planet, because that's where you knew he was heading next. You head into the Brain Caves, you are immediately attacked by brain worms, or brain slugs, sorry, which took George Costanza out of commission, basically. And that's why he didn't accompany you into the Brain Caves, because he almost died in the fight. So he and Natalia held back while you two traveled into the Brain Caves, which was the first real dungeon. You were doing a couple of things. You obviously fought the brain slugs. You kind of circumvented my drink the non-poisoned goblet puzzle a little bit by kind of immediately guessing the solution, which was fine. I'm not bitter about it.
But don't
No, not at
worry,
all.
then we had a fight with the giant brain golem.
Yes.
That Wilbur immediately charmed.
I don't know if you remember the Brain Golem's name.
I do.
Brain-
I just remember him as the brain golem.
Brain the Rock Johnson.
Oh, God. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had a few brain puns. We had Brain Gretzky, Brain Wilson, Alex Trebrank. Because Wilbur, I remember he did like a dance
Yes.
to charm the Brain Golem, which worked eventually. I think you had to whittle him down.
Yeah, I had to do it like 2 or 3 times.
That's just kind of Wilbur's whole thing, was just like, oh, I'm really good at charming people. I'm gonna make everybody my friend.
Yeah.
Which worked very well.
Yeah, Wilbur was very much like, I want everyone to be kind to each other and be nice and no swearing because children are around. But also, if there's no children around, go right ahead. And alcohol is sometimes okay. He was very much like, I will protect the children above all else. Yeah, no, Wilbur was very much like, I don't ever want to hit anybody. I don't want to resort to violence. But also, I know sometimes you have to pick people up and take them out and put them in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, we
so
had
the
to
cops come.
constantly communicate to Wilbur as if situations were like a Wilbur's Wacky World situation. So we had to get him
in
to
the
come
beginning,
along
for
with me,
sure.
like,
You had to get him to understand at a level that he was intimately familiar with.
Yeah, because he had like no social interactions outside of that.
Why is this person bad? Because they've gone to the employee only section and they're not an employee. He's not allowed to do that. We have to stop him.
Yeah.
Time to get out.
As you were leaving the Brain Planet, Mizul, you and Natalia, you had a nice, just real soft, solid, romantic hug. Just a nice little ending moment, which Wilbur tried. I forget what you did, but you did something to interrupt it, which failed miserably. I forget what it was. I forget if you tried to get in on it, make it like a group hug, and like nobody was into it.
Oh
so
yeah,
you were just
yeah.
Was that
yeah,
it?
yeah? Well, we're trying to make it in a group hug, and you just like horrendously failed to the point where it was just like awkward for everybody. Like everyone like didn't respect me for a long time after that.
I made Wilbur lose some of his charm stat until he could regain the respect of his group.
Yeah.
We'll get into the mechanics of this game as you go through the episodes, but basically he double failed.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not good. It was icky. It was icky for everybody. It took a couple sessions for that to come back. It wasn't just like one session where it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that was a character arc for him.
Where everyone was just kind of on the outs with Wilbur a little bit, which was great though, because this is when Nick Dastard came back into the fray. Because you did a highway chase scene with him, which I wanted to put in because Navi was streaming something. I forget the name of it. It was like a Star Fox kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Exodiac?
Exodiac. I gifted that game to Sean. And have you played that on stream yet, man?
Not yet. That's part of my Saturday stream games.
So you were streaming that, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a highway chase. Because it was a highway chase level, like on a futuristic bike. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a highway chase level. Which I did. You chased Nick Dastard.
And he became more like Dick Dastardly in Wacky Races. Every single time we destroyed his car, which was surprisingly easy for us that round, it just kept turning to a slightly smaller vehicle.
He was on a motorcycle, if I remember correctly, like a space motorcycle.
Yeah.
It started off in a car,
yeah.
then it became a motorcycle, and then it became like
That's
a
right,
little
like,
jet
blew
board,
it
and
up,
then it became like a jet unicycle.
Yeah, I just made it so that he was just like immediately converted into like he was a space motorcycle. I did damage. Now it's a space unicycle.
And our car kept taking some heavy damage from that as well.
Yeah, I remember at one point Wilbur, because you were chasing him with the minivan.
Yeah, this space Honda Civic.
Which miraculously kept up with this motorcycle. But I remember at one point, Wilbur, you engineered a bomb out of some parts from the car. You like tore off some parts of the minivan.
Yeah, it was fine.
Which I know Mizul did not love that.
Oh, she was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Look, we had to do what we had to do, and Wilbur doesn't know how to drive, so he was like, what if I made a bomb?
Because you do have engineering points.
Yeah.
You know, it made sense. And to be fair, you made the bomb well and it worked. It's just the kind of the situation of it. Not great for rebuilding your relationship with Mizul.
I don't know if I questioned this back then. Why did the children's entertainment mascot know how to build a bomb? And why did they resort to building a bomb?
Trial and error. Look, they had to learn how to make things sometimes, and, you know, they learned the hard way.
You know, I would have accepted if you said, like, they need to understand how to disassemble things. But
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, there's computers in there.
that would have made sense. But then he was like, well, they need to learn how to make things.
Yeah, they have to,
That's obviously a bomb.
Yeah, you saw the kind of enemies that the animatronics were. Like, Wilbur knows how they work. He knows, like, how to, you
I
know.
don't think he was prepared to fight the animatronics. I think that was the self-defense mechanism they accidentally activated.
Oh, no, Wilbur's always for the kids. He knows that sometimes animatronics might go haywire, so he needs to know how to protect the children.
They saw the FNAF franchise like, we can't let this happen in real life, so they programmed the animatronics to fight against William Afton.
Oh, no, he watched Dragon Ball Z, and he's like, hey, there's androids, and they have bombs in them. I should do that.
Except we're not going to give them the bombs, we're going to teach them how to make the bombs.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works.
If I remember right, we maybe like discussed lore-wise the reason Wilbur had high engineering is because he's an animatronic that could like repair himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that then translated over to, oh yeah, Wilbur can make bombs. Anyway, next up you headed to the Graveyard Planet.
Yeah, well, first, after we caught up with Nick Dastardly.
That's right, you did totaled Nick Dastardly's vehicle and basically just kind of captured him. Wilbur was like the only one who was like kind of sympathetic to this guy. Everyone else is just like, no, fucker, come with us. You take him, you head to the next planet, you know, Roscoe Beans was at, this graveyard. asteroid, basically, where you met the Undead Union. Who
And we
were
met my favorite character, Dedry.
Yes, Dedry, the little, like, kind of like 3 foot tall zombie Union representative.
I thought he was a skeleton.
No, he was a zombie.
Oh.
Yeah, basically just this undead Union was striking outside of Dr. Frankenstein's castle because, well, just all things that Frankenstein wanted them
You
to
don't need
work
to
too
explain.
hard.
They said they're unionizing. That's all you need to know.
Point is, they were a union, their boss was a jerk, you get it. But, your task was you got to get into this creepy castle next to a graveyard. So I know, like, they had a catapult ready, which you two tried to use, but that ended up breaking. I think Wilbur tried to repair it. I know Mizul got into a shouting match with somebody in the castle, which ended with an 18th century cannon being pointed at you.
I thought we were launched via a catapult.
No, you tried that, but it failed.
Ah, right.
Because Dedry was like the...
And doing so, we broke the catapult and held them back.
Dedry was going to try and launch himself across the moat, but the catapult failed, and you had to comfort Dedry to, like, pick his spirits up.
Yeah.
So you activated your mom card.
The best card.
And you eventually get into the castle, you go through another dungeon. This is where you get the chainsaws.
Okay.
Because I brought back one of the robots you fought from in the first session
Left
as
bot.
Right bot as punished right bot.
Gosh.
So just imagine like the second boss battle form of, just a standard police robot where he inexplicably grew like 4 feet taller and now has chainsaws for arms.
Yep.
And it was
That
just
battle
like
was tough.
it was a really big one. I honestly have like a list of things that happened. Like Nick Dastardly, who was still like bound at the hands, kicked a quarter into Rightbot's eye or something to do some damage. Dedry did a bunch of attacks. Mizul, because you
Discovered
smelled
blood
somebody,
rage.
yeah, you smelled somebody's blood and went into a frenzy.
I smelled human blood from Wilbur, which still never got explained. And
Yes.
since she wasn't wearing a helmet this time to protect her senses, she entered blood frenzy mode, and you gave me like a buff to my attack stat for that.
Yeah, basically a berserker, which worked well, but also you were retaliated against hard, and Mizul almost died here.
Oh yeah, that was the first time she almost died.
Which Natalia was like, oh my god, and tried to revive you. And I think she jokered because you were healed, but you also were given a lot of, like, drugs. You kind of woke up all right, but you were like, oh my god, what's happening?
How do I feel everything around me?
And yet you did defeat the punished Rightbot, but it was a tough battle. And it was like 6-on-1, and you all still got pretty banged up.
That was around the time I started coming up with ideas for who y'all are seeing me use now. But, like, I was basically trying to contemplate, like, do I try and pull her out of this? Or do I let her die so I can try a new character idea? And luckily, I survived.
You did survive. You were able to head up to the top of the castle where you met a cool character named Eichel, who was the third player character, an interdimensional traveler, basically a sentient black hole that always carried with him, that had like a wizard's cape, and always carried with him a spirit Halloween bag.
I thought he was described as like a fourth dimensional god.
He was fifth dimensional, if I remember correctly. I think you just kind of interpreted him with your 3-dimensional eyes as a black hole. That's kind of what you would see with a spirit Halloween bag that he could pull out anything from. Like, just imagine like basically like a mystery pouch.
This led to some fun encounters we'll get to later.
Yes, Eichel was an agent of chaos, basically.
A fragile agent of chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very fragile.
He had the minimum amount of health possible, but also like a lot of wit points and a little bit of intelligence. Lying, he was great at lying.
Wilbur never knew that because he didn't think anyone ever lied to him.
That's true.
Fair. Wilbur also had the eyes of a machine, so like I don't think he had the same level of comprehending what everyone was looking at.
Yeah.
Wilbur was like, "Oh, that's a shadow. Cool." Anyway,
He saw like a glitchy QR code or like, a captcha image in front of him. Is like, I can't read.
They have a bag. That bag is the biggest blessing and curse I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah, that bag was basically just kind of the let's try it and see what happens.
Completely different topic. I want to ask for weird lore building. Does Spirit Halloween exist, and have they ever rented out an entire Wilbur's Wacky World?
I'd say no.
No to the second part. As far as Spirit Halloween existing, no. But remember that Eichel comes from a different dimension.
Okay.
So for one where Spirit Halloween exists, which is not necessarily our dimension as human beings.
Yeah, because we're not fifth dimensional beings.
True, there could be Spirit Halloweens in a number of dimensions. In the Space Kings universe, there is none. Call us out on that if we later forget about that and introduce a Spirit Halloween as a set decoration.
Gosh.
We'll have to now make up a parody version of it just so we don't become anti-anachronistic.
Yep. When we get to season 6, we'll do the Spirit Halloween quest.
And then have the most diehard fans be like, no, wait, you said they don't exist in the Session 0 description.
I made a bunch of fan fiction about them going to Spirit Halloween, and this is not how I thought it would go.
Let's call it Spectre Halloween.
Spectre-ween.
Spectre of the Dead.
I couldn't think of a synonym for Halloween.
Spectre of the Dead sounds way too badass for a Spirit Halloween style.
Sounds like a
This is
Shovel
also
Knight.
future in the space, so like they have future space cosplays and stuff. It's gotta be pretty badass by then.
Sounds like a Shovel Knight villain.
Yeah.
Spectre of the Dead.
Spectre of the Dead.
We already have Spectre Knight. They can't be Spectre of the Dead.
It's whenever they die, they come back.
Dead Knight. Anyway, you got a new friend.
Yay.
And then you went on a big tangent next, because next up is the Cheese Moon arc, which was basically a 4-session detour.
Oh yeah, after that, the Professor Frankenstein fled off. We chased him to where we thought he went to, and we ended up on a cheese moon.
Yeah. Well,
Where
what
we found
happened?
Spaso.
Yeah. What happened was you chased Frankenstein to a planet that had like a cloaking device on it, so you couldn't land there. So you land like on a nearby place. I think maybe like your van was having mechanical issues and you had to land on like a junkyard planet.
Yeah, we did.
Which you left Natalia behind with the vehicle. You went to a service station and you were greeted by a rat. We learned that Eichel apparently can speak rat.
Part rat. He didn't do a good job at it the first time.
That's true. Like he maybe he was like practicing. One thing led to another, and you went back, and the vehicle and Natalia both were missing. You see a trail. You get on some space scooters, and you drive around. You fight a giant buff wizard rat named Ratsputin, and then that same rat who you met in the service station was like, I've kidnapped your girlfriend and you have to do a favor for me. Go to the Cheese Moon and get my artifact back. Which you were like, yeah, okay, I guess we have to.
Yeah, we weren't even like excited. It was like, all right, whatever, I guess. Fine, whatever.
This all happened because a character you had not met failed on an introduction check. So this all happened because I flipped a failure that enabled a villain to hijack the story.
Okay.
So so you all went to a cheese moon.
This is where it all starts going downhill.
Oh yeah, it goes downhill. First off, you crash land. Nick Dastard is with you and goes flying out the windshield. You don't know where he went.
Yeah. Wilbur wants to find him though.
So yeah, starts negative right off the bat. Positive side, you acquired some space queso.
Yep, Spaso.
Because I think like you just got a jar out and just bottled some like cheese river.
Yeah.
We asked Eichel to get us a mason jar because we're like, oh, space queso, we gotta have it.
We gotta have it.
And then we did. He successfully pulled us out a mason jar to fill up with space queso.
Yep. Then you went to like a cheese fort. You got in and you met a Roomba who was just kind of driving around.
It was a space prison.
Yeah.
A space prison, you're right. Yeah. You fought a Roomba because Wilbur tried to do talk machine to machine.
And he called it a slur on accident.
You didn't have to
You
throw that
dumb
out there.
sucker.
Well, no, I have it written
I
here.
know.
They met a Roomba who immediately was turned off by Wilbur's racist comments.
Okay, and also just so people understand, I drew for the racist comments. Okay,
Yes.
it wasn't something that like Wilbur just randomly did just on a whim. It was like, no, I drew cards and then racism happened.
As a twist, it's not, he failed in a spectacular way.
Yes,
Let's put
robot
it that
racism.
way.
Robot racism
Which means he was racist.
towards robot.
Towards a robot. But also towards a Roomba, so, like, who cares?
Well, I mean,
Roomba, which turned into a giant mech, kind of like the Robo Heavies from TF2 Man vs. Machine.
Yeah. Which is appropriate because we decided that they had a brass beast.
The Brass Beast minigun.
Just straight up from Team Fortress 2. A brass beast.
And when we beat it, I took that as my prize.
Oh, yeah.
I had the Brass Beast.
Mizul Shark Mom now has a minigun.
One of the worst ones in TF2. It provides a defense
that's-
buff and attack buff, but by God, it's super slow to deploy. So
Yeah.
much so that we included that as like it took me like what 2 turns to be able to use it once.
Yeah. Yes.
If I could start doing it, then I would be able to keep doing it until I stopped using it. But like,
Basically a way for me to balance out that you had a fucking minigun.
yeah.
But you take that minigun as your prize, and you find the actual mechanic on that junkyard planet who was in prison, named, it was just like a little like bulldog lady named Carmine Ranch Dip.
oh yeah.
I'm remembering all these names as I have these session notes up. You free her, and you're like, all right, we got to get the hell out of here. Which you take, you head further into the fort, and then you find this prison guard who's a rhino person named Grimbus Grankshaft.
My boy Grimbus.
Grimbus was quite a character. Okay, so you get into like you're trying to like be like, oh, we're here for a good reason, and he's like, no, you're not. And you, I don't think anyone initiated a fight, but Mizul, you basically threw your minigun.
Okay, no.
Into
What
the
happened
air.
was Eichel tried to diffuse situations saying we had permission to be here. That succeeded until Wilbur eventually asked, hey, yeah, what is your name, by the way? And then he said a name, which was the name of like some famous criminal in our dimension. And so Grimace is me like, oh no, that's a criminal. They don't have permission at all. I need to stop them. So
That's
I
right.
decided to pull Looney Tunes bullshit and threw the minigun through the Brass Beast on Grimbus.
Which knocked him out instantly.
I remember my exact words
stars
were,
over yeah.
I remember my exact words were, I want to throw the minigun on Grimbus like an anvil in Looney Tunes to knock him out.
Yes.
And that was
Which
the
worked.
start of my eventual evolution to Felicia.
Yeah. Which Eichel then was like, okay, cool. Can I add this unconscious Rhino Guard to my inventory? And I was like, sure. So you took him along, and we weren't exactly sure the ethics of it, but it happened. So what? You met another buff mouse called Mouse Carpone, who was working on a teleporter to get you all out of there, which you did. You also encountered Nick, who was recovering. He was apparently found by somebody else, patched his wounds up, so you took him with you. You head on back to the junkyard planet, and the van, at this point, you found the van, but it had been completely stripped of all of its parts.
And I was pissed.
You were furious. And I think you saw they had sprayed on the side, like, Ratmobile.
Yup.
And then you were like, fuck you, rats.
I just finished paying that off.
So you go to fight the rats and get your ship back, basically. And this is when something happens to Nick Dastard that caught you both off guard, I think. So, have you seen the movie Alien?
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, Nick Dastard got chest bursted, but instead of an alien, it was a cheese rat hybrid called Curdulphus.
Yep.
Yeah, which killed Nick Dastard, unfortunately. I wanted to trim down your party a little bit because it was getting a little big, and I'm sorry to say this, Nick Dastard was the most disposable party member. I could not kill George. He was too much of a friend. I could not kill Natalia because I'd rather wrench apart a friendship than a romance.
Yeah. Wilbur had to.
Especially since you'd also set up this possible subplot that she had kids as well. Because that was
Yes.
a conversation that came up earlier in the plot as well. So she still had more to add.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. Yeah.
Nick was just kind of the butt monkey.
Yeah, that was the first person that Wilbur was like, I actually turned this person over a new leaf. I helped them. They're dead now. They're dead. Everything's bad.
And you and Nick did genuinely like each other. You were genuine
Yeah.
friends, and he died in a horrific way.
Like, that was just like, that was the person you grew very close to and just watched them, essentially their chests blow up, which Wilbur hasn't seen the movie, so this is all new to him. So yeah, watching that happen just kind of like flipped the switch into Wilbur, and then Wilbur was like, they took my friend, now I'm gonna take their life.
Yep. And then as soon as we finished that fight, Mike got a new car in the form of the Space Winnebago, like in Spaceballs, and he immediately wanted to call it the Dastard.
Was it the first time Wilbur killed?
Yes, I think so.
Probably. I do have there that you did, at least for this fight, deliver the killing blow. You
Yeah, and
you partially decapitated them with a chainsaw.
Yeah, I got the chainsaw and then I used the skull as a necklace.
Yes, you grabbed their skull and wore it around this of the necklace.
Yeah,
And I think at this point everyone was fucking terrified of Wilbur.
well, yeah, they killed his best friend. He was upset. It was very much like I will keep this as a memento not to let anything bad happen ever again. And boy, did if only Wilbur knew the terror that was behind the next corner.
Well, behind the next corner was, we did just a cute little one-off session where you guys went to a diner to get food. So
Oh yeah. And then we realized Grimbus was a part of them, was also corrupt and part of the space mafia.
He wasn't. Well, I mean, kinda.
I should mention, all of this time, you have just brought an unconscious rhino with you at all times.
So
again,
leave him.
through all of this, you have just been carrying this person on a stretcher.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys go to take a break, get some food. Eichel paid for the meal with like a gold bar that he pulled out because he got a ton of good rolls to pay for the meal.
Wait.
And then in the...
Did we discuss the Dr. Beast moment? Or is that coming up?
The Dr. what?
The Dr. Beast, where he reached in to grab like a jar to deal with like some spiders we were fighting, and actually pulled out a jar.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were fighting some spiders at one point. I think like on the Cheese Moon.
Yeah.
And Eichel was like, "Can I just pull something out of the bag to like help?" And critical failed, and so I was like, "You pull out a jar of bees."
And then, what's this? A fight with a group of spiders? My jar full of bees
should do
will
the
put a
trick.
stop to that.
This fight is now worse with the addition of more bees.
As now we had to fight spiders and bees. Not relevant, but that's one of my favorite moments in it, and I want to bring it up whenever possible.
See, I don't think Wilbur dealt with any bees during any of this.
Yeah, no, you were elsewhere.
You were somewhere else.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
you were
yeah.
helping the.
Yeah.
We were trying to fix some sort of teleporter at the time.
That's yep.
Which you were working on because you're good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
which
I
means you
remember.
avoided the bees.
Yeah, Eichel and I had bees sent to go like go turn the generator on or something. You're up there helping to repair the technical specs up there.
Yeah.
We encountered a spider, and it was proving hard for me to fight. So Eichel decided, Dr. Bees.
Eichel's bag was literally the best, worst thing in the world.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, you got some food, you left, and you realized, Grimbus is awake, and he broke our van already.
Well, the van was already broke. It's now the Space Winnebago, the Spirit.
I'm sorry, yeah, but he broke your RV.
That fucker.
Yeah, and he was like part of like this scheme with a mafia crew. You fought them, killed 2 of them, I think. And then Eichel, who was telekinetic and telepathic, tried to get in Grimbus's head. Grimbus was about to attack them and be like, hey, Grimbus, be on our side, but doing that telepathically. But also got a twist on that. So he ended up basically removing all of the sentience from Grimbus and turned him into just an actual rhino. So he added a feral rhino to the fight, which was great. But what's even better is Wilbur tamed this rhino. So now they had a pet rhinoceros, friendly and on their side, willing to fight. Very cute. Obviously, the character we would make the first plushies for is Grimbus, the rhino.
Mm-hmm.
You flew to a space station, which was kind of your last like major dungeon, where you found Natalia's kid, whose name was Ralph, because I could not think of a better name.
Yep.
Yeah, you did another cool vehicle fight, which I don't remember much.
So
important happening
Mizul
there.
jumped from the Winnebago to go directly take care of it.
That's
I knocked off a little astromech droid that was trying to stop me, and then he just went.
Yeah, no, just straight up an R2-D2 style drone came out to make repairs, and you were like, "No, get the fuck out of here!"
Bitch slapped the thing off, and then tried to
and
tear the ship open.
Yeah, you tried to tear it open, but then inexplicably, that drone came back, and you get the R2-D2. Wow!
Didn't it like blow up or something?
Yeah, it, like blew up or sent the ship on a collision course. But
It did something that inconvenienced us. It died in a way that inconvenienced us. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
And then it led to a split-second decision of me deciding to save both me and the pilot.
Yeah, which was good because then you realized, oh, this is my girlfriend's son.
Yeah, because we brought him on board, and then Natalia was like, "Oh my goodness, Ralph!"
Ralph, my boy.
And he was being like somewhat manipulated by evil forces to work with them.
Yeah, because he mentioned that the nearby space station that you all were heading to was like, they got a bunch of kids captured there as part of a secret Wilbur's Wacky World program. And Wilbur, you were like,
You can't do this.
because obviously after killing Wilbur's best friend, the next obvious thing to do is shatter his entire belief system and make him realize that the people he has idolized and worshipped are maybe terrible people.
Well, if only that was the only thing that happened.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Pain.
Wilbur is basically Big Boss.
Yeah. Well, not yet, but going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just building and building
yeah.
every single tragic backstory you can think of.
Wilbur made friends with the son and everything during this and everything, and there's so many hardships. I've been waiting for these next couple parts to come up because man, he really just does become punished Snake. You deserve happiness or a nap. Wait, hold on. Does Wilbur never sleeps? Actually, now that I think about it, Wilbur has never slept. Or at least we never brought it up that he did.
There might have been some like off mic moments where you had like a few days rest, but never like in the show.
Gotcha.
It's not like sleep or tiredness is a mechanic in the game, so there was no need to be like Wilbur sleeps for X hours.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, you head into this space station. So I think it was Wilbur and Ralph and Natalia and Grimbus went to free all the kids who were imprisoned by Wilbur's Wacky World, at which point Wilbur had to fight another animatronic Wilbur through Dance Dance Revolution. And then George, Mizul, and Eichel, they were doing their own thing, going through maintenance. They were fighting some feral zombies, which that took a while. And Dedry came back. I forgot. I'm just reading my space notes because I knew that you, especially Navi and Mizul, loved Dedry. And I was like, you know what? Dedry's coming back.
I remember just being overjoyed when I saw Dedry return.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in the space station happened that wasn't necessarily plot relevant. It was just kind of turn on the thing, fight the zombies.
Had my next great moment of cartoon logic where someone got stuck in a vent and I just sort of did the windy up punch and hit them and shot them through.
Yeah, very Tom and Jerry style, like wind up a punch like a hurricane.
I think
just
around this
whack
time
'em.
I started messaging you about the initial idea for Felicia.
Yeah. I remember you reached out to me because the next part was you made it to the top floor.
Right.
You made it to the top floor. You were put in charge of feeding a bunch of the big bad bosses because someone thought like, oh, you're the wait staff, serve these people, which ended up becoming a big
There's
big
a pufferfish
fight.
woman, another Cardonian, which is the shark people race thing that Mizul was, and then on that moment decided to retcon and say she was bisexual. So
Yes.
so she started trying to hit on him. And then there was like one other, I think, normal guy, and then there was the fourth guy who sort of was in charge of the whole thing.
Yeah, so there was I have Mr. Orange, who was like a chameleon type person. Mr. Purple, the human, who was just kind of a big fat guy eating a bunch of stuff.
Mr. Green was the shark man.
Mr. Green, the shark, and Mrs. Blue, the Petroid, is the species name I have here, which I think was like a lionfish.
Yeah,
so like a
that
bunch of
sounds
thrills. And you finally encountered Dr. Frank N. Stein. He came back and had a big boss fight. I didn't take very good notes
And
on it.
we were losing up
Yes.
until Mr. Purple, I want to say, called Mr. Green a water breather, which
No,
was
you
a
don't-
slur to all of us fish people.
It wasn't Mr. Purple. It was actually Dr. Stein. And I have gone back and forth with Dripson about this. I can't remember whether Eichel telepathically told Dr. Stein, hey, Mr. Green is going to kill you, or if Eichel tried to make it seem like Dr. Stein was turning on Mr. Green. I can't remember how exactly happened, but
I thought it
basically
was-
Dr. Stein... What do you think?
I think it was telepathically he said it, from what I remember.
That
Okay.
sounds about right. Oh yeah, and during the combat, Mizul got hit with poison and was taking a lot of damage through a lot of it.
Oh, yes. But how the fight ended was 2 of the big bad bosses were dead. I think one had fled, rather.
Mr. Green
and then-
fled. I remember that much.
Yeah, because Dr. Stein did, however the method was, did say, oh, you fucking gill breather.
Yeah, Gilbert, that was the slur.
Which-
Yeah, and everyone just stopped.
Everyone's like,
And Mizul, in the process of trying not to die, looked at Mr. Green and said, "Get him for me, will ya?"
Yeah.
And he sort of
Oh,
nodded in approval.
I see, like, you and Mr. Green, I think everybody just kind of dogpiled on him. I do have it here that Wilbur did the killing blow.
We pulled the JoJo Part 5 moment on him.
Yes. Yes, we did. But yes, Mizul had taken poison damage and fell unconscious, which Eichel attempted to cure by using the Spaso, but unfortunately Critical failed. So he didn't realize the Spaso had gone bad, and Mizul died.
Yep.
Straight up just died. Right at the end of the session, it was like a last minute punch that was very, very sad. And yeah, like after the session, like you and I, Navi, just took a minute to be
Yeah,
like,
we had like a couple weeks in between. I remember scheduling time with you to discuss the possibility of a new character. Because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we're nearing the end of the campaign. I have an idea for my next character. Do we pop her in now, or do we try and bring back Mizul? You said you'd come up with an idea. You helped flesh out the further idea for what Felicia would be.
yeah, because
Just-
I wanted to ask you if, because we were nearing the end of the session, if you wanted to do a character, and if you did, would you be okay bringing Mizul back from the dead just to finish the campaign, and then she can...
Yeah. That's what we agreed on.
exit.
We agreed, I'll do Mizul one more time, then we'll continue it, and I'll use a brand new character.
Yep. So the next session we begin with Mizul meeting Rayloff from the Skyrim intro, who's like, "Hey, you're finally
Yeah.
awake."
She died in combat, so she went to Space Valhalla,
Yes, Warrior Heaven Space Valhalla, where
where
she
what's his
basically
name from Skyrim greets you out the gates.
he's basically the Saint Peter.
Oh, you're finally awake.
Because I wanted to do the Skyrim intro meme. And Mizul basically like pled her case, like, can I go back for one last fight? And Rayloff was like, yeah, okay. So Mizul was temporarily resurrected. You met Roscoe Beans finally, who you had not seen since the beginning, at a temple where he was trying to summon his big bad boss. You fought him, he sacrificed himself to fully summon the moon goddess. Shiraya was her name. You fought her, and then the tide turned enough for all the friendly NPCs to come back and do a big old final attack.
Oh yeah, Jerry the Shotgun disappeared / died at one point, so he got a return in this battle. I remember that.
Jerry the Shotgun had been broken, but the first action of the final attack was Jerry the Shotgun flies down from the sky and blasts the moon goddess in the face. Yeah, like everybody came back. Mizul's kids came back, also because I wanted to make sure they were there to say goodbye to their mom. The Brain Golem, Dedry, the Roomba came back. The last person to come back, and only Wilbur saw this, was the ghost of Nick Dastard, who delivered a final blow.
My boy.
From beyond the grave. And if we had maybe continued with all these characters, we might have done a, help Nick Dastard in hell kind of scenario, but never.
I didn't know he was there. Hold on, what?
He was
He
not
was
a
a
good
corrupt cop.
Yeah, he was not a great person.
He
was
turned
great
his
in
life
his
over.
He should have gone to hell.
Yeah.
You may have turned him, but you didn't turn him to Christ. You didn't exactly give him enough opportunity. We didn't give him enough opportunities to redeem himself in the eyes of the Lord. So it's not like this guy had much time to enjoy his new good life.
That may be my favorite comeback I've heard in a very long time. You may have turned him, but he didn't turn to Christ. Oh my god. That is perfect.
To be fair, I said he was in hell. I didn't necessarily confirm whether or not he belonged there. It might have been a mission to get him to heaven.
That's true.
Anyway, that didn't end up happening. We're probably not going to do that. I don't think Nick Dastard's going to return because he is a Wilbur character and we're not playing with him at the moment.
Nope.
I definitely want to keep this Wilbur's Wacky World at least as a plot detail while we do these sessions. But yeah, we're just kind of cooling Wilbur off for a bit.
He deserves a rest.
Next we see him, he's going to be this, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of just retired to another abandoned facility, just cleaning it and just trying to stay detached from the world because he doesn't want to get attached to anyone anymore.
Yeah, old Ben Wilbur from Wilbur's Wacky World.
Ben Wilbur.
Wilbur's Wacky World. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
He looks over to a picture of Natalia, Mizul, and Grimbus and Eichel at the Italian restaurant.
Yes.
And now I need to ask, does Natalia still live in this universe? And did she gain custody of Mizul's kids?
I'm going to vote yes. We never really talked about who the father of Mizul's kids was. He really kind of wasn't in the picture.
Yeah, I didn't really do anything with that. I had no real plans at. The closest I ever got was flirting with Mr. Green and maybe open up the door that they might have known each other. Like, that's the closest I might have considered, but even then, the existence and identity of the dad was not important to me.
Yeah. So that was the first big campaign. It took us a year and a half, more or less. On and off, not like straight in a row.
Yeah, a lot of that was struggled because of just life stuff, and I think there's definitely like a 3-month span where we just sort of forgot to keep meeting up.
Yeah, definitely. The point right before we brought Eichel in because Dripson wanted to make a character and play, we had just kind of like not played.
Yeah, we had at least, I want to say 3 weeks where we just had something come up, where one person had something come up and we couldn't do it. We said like, oh yeah, we'll do it next week, and then after that, we just kept forgetting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, scheduling is hard sometimes.
To be difficult.
Then I assume Dripson you either asked Dripson to join or he asked to join. And it was like, oh yeah, I should probably ask if we were still doing this.
Yeah. Which did, and we continued.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dripson, for bringing back Space Kings. This might not have happened without you.
That's true. Dripson is
I now wish to declare Eichel as officially as a god, so that way we could say this.
We're going to believe in that. We're going to watch Eichel accidentally kill one of his best friends.
Okay, that's true.
Which, gosh, I do love that. Like Eichel was like, "Hey, I'm here for a little bit. All right, I killed one of the main characters. Bye."
Yeah. Eichel was very much I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah, I'm going to stir the pot and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Wilbur's like, cool, you're Shadow. Anyway.
Yeah. So the surviving party members, which at this point was Wilbur, Eichel, and George. Everyone else had either just kind of left on their own way or was gone. Dead.
Did Grimbus leave?
Grimbus is a character that I forgot to mention was hanging around with you at the bar, but I kind of forgot that he was a thing and I didn't mention him. So Grimbus just sort of disappeared.
Yeah, he just went off and did his own thing, which is fine. I mean, like,
he became just a normal rhino at that point.
I think so. He was just kind of the mascot for your
to be
crew.
fair, that guy was just existing and giving us passive buffs just for being around.
Wilbur just liked him around, but like he wasn't going to force him to stay around.
Yeah, Wilbur, Eichel, and George are just drinking their sorrows away at a bar, and this is where Navi introduced Felicia Fox.
Yep.
Who you will meet more when you watch these episodes. Basically, 40s, 50s style Hollywood starlet cartoon Fox, who just sort of butted in on the conversation and was like, hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
Make yourself feel self-important and simultaneously self-deprecating, as she was also... In that campaign, I also added a lot more, like, self-depressing moments with her. Just a lot more of... Oh, like, how did I do it? It was like...
You were like, I am the greatest star in the world. I will not be free from my corporate masters.
Goes up and like does a little tap dance. I will never stop dancing. She had a lot more of those fucked up and twisted moments. I'd like to bring them back in this campaign. I don't know how well I can do it.
I believe in you.
If you feel that it's right to introduce it, introduce it. I think so far we've just kind of appealed to Felicia's vanity, so you've just been on the haha, I am Felicia side. Anyway, the gang meets Felicia, the cool new character, and then there's this jerk in the bar who's like, I'm depressed! And Wilbur's like, ooh, another opportunity to make a friend.
Yeah, which also, Wilbur was also very depressed drinking. He was having...
What do you mean a new friend when this guy openly said he was evil?
Well, he didn't at first. At the beginning, he was like, I'm lonely! So Wilbur
Did he
wanted
say it
to
was like
help
his
out.
birthday or something?
Yeah, it was his birthday, and Wilbur sang...
Yeah, he sang Happy Birthday.
Yeah, well, you sang a variation of Rock Lobster. I remember that part.
Happy birthday.
Because you were drinking a B-52.
Mm-hmm.
Which perked the guy up, and he says, "No, that's great. You're my new friend. Let's take over this planet." And you were like, "Oh, god damn it."
Yeah, we're very much like, oh, come on, dude. Really? My friend just died. And start revving up the chainsaw arm.
So basically just a big fight to initiate the session, because why not?
And they all took the spirit.
Yes, yeah. We had left behind.
Natalia did not get to take that with her.
Well, Natalia took that with you, but with her, yeah. But that means that the party didn't have access to it, so they had to call a cab.
I thought they. Oh yeah, they did. Okay, for some reason I thought they took the spirit.
No, the spirit was left with Natalia.
Okay.
So at this point, you head to another Wilbur's Wacky World location because I think that's just where Wilbur wanted to go. He was just like, take us to Wilbur's Wacky World, which you did. This is the point where Eichel's player dropped off, so Eichel just sort of vanished into thin air.
He went back to the fifth dimension from whence he came.
Yeah, left behind just a mysterious cube that you tried to open, and immediately started emitting a gas. So you were like, "Oh God, let's not mess with this." But yeah, you head into the Wilbur's Wacky World, which had been taken over by raiders. Which this is where you meet Wilbur Jr., who's just walking around like, "Hello, friends," and of course Wilbur got attached to it immediately.
Always does.
Well, in this case, more because you identified him as like, oh, fellow employee of Wilbur's Wacky World. Yeah, you're immediately like, oh, this person is on the level. But in the ensuing fight that happens, because of course these raiders are going to immediately shoot at you, a few things happen here that are interesting. Felicia immediately displayed her cartoon prowess so Felicia also has a mystical pocket that you can just pull shit out of, which is kind of great that Eichel is not in this campaign anymore, because then we'd have two characters that just have mystery bags, essentially.
Yeah.
But anyway, Felicia takes out a clarinet and shoves it up somebody's ass.
Yep.
To kill them, basically. And then one of the raiders had a rocket launcher, and as you might expect have happened, blew Wilbur Jr. to smithereens. It was not a good time.
It was instantaneous, by the way. And it wasn't like something led up to it. It was like we looked at each other in the eye and then just gone.
Yeah. The way I think I remember it happening is Wilbur Jr. looked back at you like, I'm gonna do a thing, ran up and charged at the person, who immediately like turned around with his RPG and shot like instantly, evaporating him.
Yeah, like he was like, I want to be just like you. Mm-hmm. And then like disintegrate. I watched this person's brain evaporate before my very eyes. Mm-hmm. I watched the kid version of me, the one I'm supposed to protect,
get blown up in front of you.
Wilbur Jr., the one I was helping turn over a new leaf, helping him show the way to be, inspired him, another child, after I just lost one of my best friends, two best friends actually. Mm-hmm. I just watched them die in the place that I grew to love. The corporation that I stood for destroyed the only innocence I had left. That was Wilbur's breaking point. At that point, it was like, everybody must die and I will make them suffer. It was like, it was awful. It was Wilbur went from everyone needs to be my friend to everyone must suffer.
Mm-hmm. And I will say all of this happened because of card flips and, rolls.
Oh, yeah.
It was not like I was actively trying to make Wilbur the most miserable person ever.
Everything.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
It was just hit after hit after hit, and then just like the mini version of himself that he was trying to protect just exploded because of what Wilbur was doing. Wilbur lost himself and knew there was no going back. So it was like, well, rev up them chainsaws because we got people to split in half.
This is very much the Anakin Skywalker story, but it's an animatronic bear, but also it's technically a man.
Animatronic man in a bear clothing and paws.
Yeah.
Which he never used again. He just used the chainsaw from that point on.
Nope.
Where it was like,
yeah,
nope.
Because you got a chainsaw and you were just like, well, fuck it, I'm using this all the time.
Oh yeah, I was gonna use paws, but like just everyone around him kept dying.
If you have a chainsaw, why wouldn't you use it?
Yeah.
Well, because I don't want to kill them.
As soon as I got the brass beast.
Well, he didn't want to kill everybody, but then
we left the brass beast where Mizul died initially because it was too fucking heavy for everyone else to carry.
That's right. You kind of left it as like, this is where you died, but also you were like, I can't carry this.
Yeah, I think George Costanza was the only one who could have possibly moved it, and that wasn't happening.
No.
Was that? I can't remember. Did Jerry die?
Yeah, Jerry died in the combat.
Yeah, Jerry broke in the middle of combat. I think like George tried to use him as like a club for some reason, and
they
it
exploded.
broke. And he was like, my friend.
That no one ever talked to but him.
Nope. My friend who talks to me.
And no one seems to be questioning.
Well, to be fair, we've all had a lot happen to everybody.
George maybe has a tragic backstory with him and Jerry that we haven't explored yet.
Wilbur wasn't ready for it.
Well, anyway, so after Wilbur basically lost the last of his sanity, I sent you on a treasure hunt. Basically just a short little breezy campaign. You guys went into underground tunnels. You fought a giant poison ant. You met some mole people. One of them, a mole person named Shooby Dooby, who was like, hey, hello, I can help you find the treasure.
Yeah, and they existed in like a really primitive society who knew who Felicia was, but like the best they had was like an early Macintosh computer that still connected to HomestarRunner.com.
Yeah, they had ancient. You're going to the ancient ruins that was only like 30 years old or something.
Well, no, in this universe, they would be 4,000 years old. It's just that for us, as our reference as players, it was only like 30-year-old technology.
4,000 years in the future, and Homestar Runner is still up and running, apparently.
Dunes!
You can try and destroy my website, but my speedmails will keep on living because they are just too awesome.
That was very good. That was a perfect impression.
If we ever do a strong bad campaign,
I need a strong bad VTube model now.
I think they did use one at one point. I remember
they did because they were doing. They had the VTube speed run of Marzipan's. What was it? Beef Reverse.
Anyway, you visited this ancient temple of the moles after going through like a Rango style like Old West town, and you fought a bunch of like cowboys who were showing up. And then you basically went through this whole temple, which was basically a bit. I had been playing a lot of Hades too, so I set it up with like, oh, this dungeon's gonna have a bunch of rooms, a bunch of traps, and you have to like decide your path. And it was pretty cool. And then at the end, you meet up with Shooby Dooby, and he's like, hey, thanks for testing out our escape room. So these people basically led you on a fake treasure hunt to help
Did we kill people too? No, there were ghosts.
You like killed like a ghost or like a warrior skeleton or something. Yeah. So nobody important.
Well, not now.
No. I know Felicia was very upset that she was duped into beta testing an escape room. Wilbur didn't care that much. He was just like happy that it ended without somebody dying.
Felicia was pissed because like she finally felt like she was free from her corporate chains for one adventure and thought it was gonna be really cool. It'd be treasure and it would be awesome. And then she found out it was still just the scripted mess. It was like, no.
God damn it.
My 1 week away from the company. And this is what I spent it on. Oh, darlings, I can't take it.
I think Wilbur was just trying to vibe.
Trying.
He was
On
having
the
a great
outside.
time.
Yeah.
Well,
This one was
for the
probably
most part.
this was like the least deadliest thing he did in a while, and it turned
Yeah.
out well for him.
It had been at least 2 sessions since someone of his best friends died, so he was able to be on the upswing
Yeah.
for at least a little bit.
Well, it was a good casual adventure. So before Robo Freddy died. Well,
Yeah.
Mini Freddy died. Mm-hmm. Mini Wilbur, sorry. I kept saying Freddy.
No, this is a totally original idea by Wolf Chaos On Corp.
Yeah, come on.
I thought you were an LLC, Sean. I didn't know you were a corp.
Yeah, it changes during the week.
It changes all the time. My business is flexible and fluctuating.
Flexible and fluctuating. Welcome to Wolf Chaos on Corporations. LLC during the
Okay.
weekdays.
It's whatever you need it to be at this specific moment in time.
Exactly.
Gotta be an LLC so you can be held accountable for as little as possible.
Yes, absolutely. And that's everything that happened. And we decided that we were gonna record some sessions as well. And that's what you're listening to right now. Which we brought back Felicia because we only played with her a little bit, and
Yeah,
I
we
think
barely got
there's-
to flesh her out.
yeah,
So,
there's still a lot
she
of
came
a lot of
back.
places we can go with her. Wolf Chaos-san decided, let's start a new character, and thus Ozzy the
Wilbur-
detective was born. Yeah,
Yeah, because Wilbur,
Yeah.
I was like, he's done his story. I mean, sure, there's some things left unanswered, but I think for now he deserves a rest. And then I was like, what if I made an ostrich detective? There you go.
And as of this point, we've now said our story. We'll keep referencing that old campaign, knowing us. Don't know if Felicia will herself will acknowledge it. I don't know.
we'll see. We yeah,
poked the idea of this being the sequel to that. No promises.
yeah. At least as far as like what
I do
we've recorded,
want some kind of sequel. I do want this to kind of be a sequel to that, just so we can have the possible hope that we can see a happy ending for Wilbur at some point. That's my only hope, and get an answer to what he is.
Yeah.
I can't wait to never know.
I had been building a potential campaign for this where we would go into that and explore it, but then Wolf said I'd like to do a new character, so I was like, okay, let's save that for if and when Wilbur comes back.
I think
Yeah,
I remember like initial conversations of that because I was the first person to truly inspect Wilbur and figure out that there was organic material underneath. So
Yeah.
I think I might have been clued in initially that there was a chance he was just a human who thought he was a Wilbur.
Yeah. My kind of plan with it was like every NPC that encounters Wilbur had to do a perception check to basically be like, what is this creature? If
And
they were
most people couldn't see him.
Yeah, if they were smart enough, if their intelligence was really low, they just immediately were like, yes, you are an animatronic, and just did not question it further.
Yeah, and honestly, the only thing about him that like would seem a little odd is like, oh hey, he's wearing dirty clothes and bare gloves. Okay, but now he has a chainsaw arm that he just attached to himself. That's the more worrisome thing. He never took that off, by the way. Just so you know, listeners, like it wasn't like he had the chainsaw and he would put it away. No, it was like a part of him at all times. He would like be at the bar drinking with it and everything. Talk to children with it. He was for the people, chainsaw and all. His sins he refused to bog down.
It's just a hell of a sentence there.
Thanks for listening to Live, Laugh, Loot. We're currently using the Space Kings system, developed and published by SuperTry Studios. You can learn more about this game or buy it yourself at supertry.itch.io/spacekings. Follow us on Blue Sky at livelaughloot.bsky.social or email us at livelaughlootpodcast@gmail.com. Our intro music is Out of Control by Chill Carrier, and our outro music is One Point to Another by Rocket Max. See the episode description to find out what other songs played this episode or to check licensing information. To learn more about this podcast or listen to more episodes, check us out at livelaughloot.libsyn.com.